Once I started producing my own music and I was like, I want this to be so much more. Like, I want full productions. I want it very theatric. I want to like give a name to my creative self. So people like do a double take. They're like, oh wait, maybe I don't know what's going on.
The One More Time Music Podcast. Genuine conversations with genuine people about music. Hosted by Henry with a 3 and Playback Ben.
Went from Beamer Coops to Pencils. Don't want this to end, so part that one more time. Part that one more time. Part that shit like one more time. They part that one more time.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the One More Time Podcast.
One more time.
It's Thursday. Welcome. We appreciate you tuning in. I'm Playback Ben, here with my co-host,
Henry with a 3, a.k.a. the Trap Jack Black.
Henry. Who do we have on the podcast today, my friend?
Welcoming in on the 23rd.
23rd. Michael
23rd,
Jordan.
that's right.
MJ episode.
Love it. On the 23rd episode of the One More Time Podcast, the pop punk queen herself behind hits like Complicated and Skater Boy, it's Avril Lavigne.
Avril Lavigne in the house.
Wait a minute.
I'm so happy to meet you, Avril.
I mean,
You
it's great to be here, guys.
you have the number one the most sold album by any Canadian artist in the 21st century. Trivia.
You've beat out Drake so far still.
Crazy.
Wow.
I think it's just because the streaming era has hindered his ability to sell records.
It has.
In comparison to the Queen, Avril. No, in all seriousness, folks, we have the alt-pop princess herself, Miss Anji Kaizen.
Yes.
Anji Kaizen.
Ani. She traveled long and far to be here on the One More Time Podcast. Sat in a little bit of Atlanta traffic, but she made it. We appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Definitely. We're going to get right into it. You are not born and raised in the city.
No.
You're not a city girl by your history.
No.
Paint us a picture of where you grew up and kind of the scene that was your household.
Okay. So picture basically woods in all directions. I grew up in Noonan, but kind of like backwards.
Shout out Noonan.
Shout out Noonan
Shout
one
out to
time.
Noonan. So I grew up and I had horses that I rode, and like our neighbors had like a full farm with like pigs and like corn mazes and
Oh, yeah.
everything. So
The full deal.
exactly. So music was kind of like my little escape that was like just for me kind of thing. Like, you spend all day outside and then everybody comes back in the house. And a lot of times like music was a way for my family to connect. My mom taught music and she played guitar. So I learned how to play guitar so we could all just like sit around and sing songs together.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds so farmy.
It was very
Farmy?
Yeah, no, farmy. Just,
Did you just make up a word?
We do make up words here
We
on the
always
podcast.
make words up on this podcast.
But no, it's interesting, your mom, she said she played lullaby classical music to like lull
Yeah.
you to sleep, and she was trying to like ingrain music into your brain from
like
an early
the Einstein
age.
baby thing.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even know that was like a theory.
No,
or
I've heard it.
something.
I've actually heard you can play like babies. If you play like Beethoven and Bach to them, they have
That's-
like higher IQs.
That's what. Well, are you smart?
I mean,
What was your GPA?
Did
in
it
high
work?
school?
Is the
I
theory
graduated with
proven?
honors for high
Honors?
school and
Cool.
college. So.
Fair enough.
It works, people.
But yeah, so she was playing music for you to,
Yeah.
heighten your IQ apparently, and to lull you to sleep at the same time. Then she also, played some instruments and played a lot of music growing up, around the house. But, Rick Rubin asked this question. I think it was an episode he did with Jaden Smith. And he talked about kind of like, when did music become something of your own and not someone else's, right? Because we all had maybe parents playing music, this, that, and the third. But like, at what point do you think music became yours and something that you identified with?
Wow.
Shout out Rick Rubin for that one.
Yeah, that's a great question.
It's a heady ass Rick Rubin question. But I thought it was awesome because it's like, yeah, we all were forced to listen to certain things from our parents, but then
Right.
like at some point
There's a
we were the
switch.
ones picking out the CDs, or we were the ones downloading shit illegally on, Livewire or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, at what point did you kind of like take music onto yourself? You know what I mean?
I think for me, I had listened to like the radio a lot and stuff, but I think the moment that I realized like, wow, I actually like really connect with this and this is important to me is I used to think that every artist on the radio like wrote their songs. I had like a very like
A lot of people still think that, just so you're aware.
like I was like, oh my God, like that's so cool. They just like sing and write about their life. So I started doing that. And like I started playing these songs for my family
cute.
and friends. And they were like, you wrote that? And I was like, yeah, doesn't everyone write every song they sing? Like, no. So I guess I realized then that I was doing something different from most people, and I really enjoyed the process of songwriting. I was really into poetry first and singing. I sang everything all the time. Picked up guitar and piano later to accompany myself. And then my true love of music began with two distinct pieces of music. The first one was Sound of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel.
So I have like a recurring thing. Actually, not anymore because we got solar panels here, so my power doesn't go out. But before a year ago, my power would go out probably like 15.
Just if the wind fucking
if
blew,
the wind blows too
like,
hard, my power goes out, and I would do a thing where I do an Instagram story and it's just dark, and I would play the Sound of Silence. Every time, hello, darkness, my old friend.
Yeah.
But rest in peace to that because solar energy. Shout out solar. Love Sound of Silence though.
But yeah, so I mean, outside of songwriting, you were a big writer. You mentioned, you wrote poems.
Yes.
You even wrote a classic Nancy Drew novel at like the age of 9 or something.
Wait, what?
Can you just give us the
can't
cliff
believe
notes?
my mom told you
Can you
that.
just give us the cliff notes of like, what was your take on a Nancy Drew mystery novel?
Oh God. I think it was like her and her friends like in the haunted library or something. Like it was very cliche kind of Nancy Drew, but I had a blast writing.
Shout out Nancy Drew.
Shout out.
So you got into guitar in middle school and you started teaching yourself, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Was there YouTube? Like, I don't know how old you are.
Not
Was there
really.
YouTuber? How did you teach
Actually,
yourself?
I think YouTube had just like kind
Or
of.
did you actually have one of those guitar learning books that you like flipped through and they showed you what to do?
What was the process?
I
Yeah.
just like Googled songs that I
so-
wanted to
so
learn.
Google was around.
So Google was around.
Yeah.
So
Shout out Google.
She's not 70.
I don't know. It's stuff with her hair. I didn't know if like, she was hiding grays underneath there or what.
yeah, it keeps me young. Yeah,
Hey, I got a gray patch coming in here, so don't hate.
Ben's like 45.
don't look it, Ben.
Thank you.
But I Googled songs I wanted to learn and then like would pull up chord charts. I think the first song I taught myself was Bubbly by Colby Calais. I don't know if you guys remember her.
Were you
Like-
singing at that point too?
Yeah, I was
So
singing
you
and
sang along to it?
playing. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting.
That was the whole point for me going into it. I was like, I just want to accompany myself because, I mean, you can't really like go perform and only sing, right?
Did you like singing or playing guitar more at that point?
I really loved singing more, but then as I got more into guitar, it became a passion for me as well. And then I was like, wait, this is such a cool instrument, like especially electric guitar. There's so many different sounds you can do and manipulations you can do. And then when I got, into GarageBand and Logic, I was like, wow.
Shout out Logic.
Shout out Logic.
Yeah,
You're a Logic girl?
Yes, I am.
Logic Squad.
Logic Squad all day.
So, then that's when it started to be like, I can create like a whole musical world. It's not so much just I'm singing words, but like I want to create a whole soundscape for people. And I think part of that is because I have synesthesia. So like when I listen to music, I picture things. And that actually started when
One
I
more
was
time?
a kid. Synesthesia.
So yeah, so do you like smell the music?
No, I wish I smelled it, but I like get really crazy visuals when I listen to music.
Cool.
So like
Damn,
cool.
from the classical music, I remember laying in bed and being like, oh, like there's a whole like series of things happening, like trees and the wind and colors and lights. Like
I bet
all
music
happening.
videos come pretty easy to you then.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
Wow.
When I'm writing songs, it's kind of like happening in my head
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
So you end up actually going to college. Shout out LaGrange College.
Shout out LaGrange.
Yes.
To actually study or get a degree in music. I found that fascinating because a lot of people that are in music now, they don't have a formal
They dropped out.
music
Yeah.
major degree, right? So what was your major going into college at first?
So I was kind of undecided between creative writing or doing music. And LaGrange College, I sent them my EP that I had recorded, all the songs written, like it was all me basically recorded at musicology. And I sent it to them and they gave me a phone call and said, hey, we love this. We're going to give you a scholarship. Please come. And I said, okay, they're going to pay me. So
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm going to go there, definitely.
Easy choice.
She's a businesswoman. But no, so you you were trying to, or, you were interested in majoring in like voice. Was that like an actual major or like?
So yeah, you can major in like vocal performance, guitar performance, or you can major in music education for a lot of colleges. But the other reason I picked LaGrange is because they had songwriting, music composition, audio engineering. Like they have a bunch of recording studios on campus. So you can go and record and study the music and learn about audio engineering. And at the time, I was like, I don't really just want to be a music teacher or like an opera singer, which is kind of like the track they put you on when you go into music academically. As a vocalist, they want you to be classical or like opera or musical theater, like in that kind of direction. And then the other direction is you study a lot of theory and you learn about teaching so you can become a music educator, like a band director. And I was like, I really want to be more in the creative scene. Like I want to be in the studio. I want to work with artists. I want to write the songs. I want to mix the music. So that's why I picked LaGrange College. And I actually ended up recording an album while I was there and then kickstarting releasing it, which you probably already know since you talked to my mom.
Yeah.
He's the Nardwuar of podcasters.
But so you actually had something happen freshman year, right?
Yeah.
It sounded kind of scary.
I lost my voice.
Yeah.
It was very
for like
scary.
like it wasn't like a rasp, your horse from yelling at a sports game. Like
right.
That like impacted what you were able to do, right?
What happened?
Definitely. So what happened was in high school, I actually had a choir director who was lacking in altos. And he said, hey, Angela, like you're such a good vocalist that like I'm going to put you in altos because I know you can handle it even though you're a soprano. But the problem is when you are singing in the wrong vocal range or the wrong tessitura, it can start to wear on your voice. So I was in a classic rock cover band in high school and I was singing alto and I was singing a lot in these lower ranges that were not meant for my voice. So I got into college and of course, I was doing voice lessons, I was doing the choir, and I remember walking in one day and starting to sing and my voice created a diploton. So basically what happened a diploton. Yeah.
Wait. Yeah. We totally know what that is, but for those of them out there that don't know what a diploton is.
I use that word on a regular basis.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of it before either, but basically when your vocal folds move, they close like this, right? But if you have a lot of scarring tissues, that can like cause something to get in the way. So instead of closing properly and making a single note, it's like it hits and there's two notes created. So I created two notes and one was like scary low.
Sounds like a good thing.
I mean, it's kind of a cool superpower, but also like it was painful and damaging to my voice. Jeez. And I just like froze, like didn't know what to do and just like covered my mouth. And I was like, I can't sing anymore. Like I was scared to even try. So I had to go to a voice specialist in Atlanta and they had to like do
rehab your
the camera
voice
down into your throat and
wow.
look at my vocal cords and do vocal rehab. Yeah, it was a whole thing.
Damn.
So you would recommend to singers out there to stay in their range?
Stay in your range, stay hydrated, don't overexhaust your voice. I think, in college we're all like, oh, I'm invincible. I can do all the things and like not get any sleep. But, with other instruments, you can probably play longer than you should and get away with it. But with your voice, like that wear and tear will build up into like vocal baggage and vocal trauma.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was encountering.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
No, I just found like going to school for music such an interesting thing because I went to school and I studied business. And it's like, my class projects were like, entrepreneurship and like starting a fake company or like reading balance sheets of fucking Fortune 5, whatever like business stuff I had to do.
Yeah.
Your class projects were not that.
No.
Right? So like
make an EP.
Yeah. No. So give us some examples of like class projects when you're in a music school. Like,
oh yeah. Okay. So I had to write a sonata for one of my music composition classes.
Sonata.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you end up doing
10.
one project that leads to a longer relationship where you like coordinated the whole recording process for a punk rock band that was led by someone who may or may not, or like a
Be sitting in
member
the room right now.
may or may not be sitting in the room.
Shout out Jory.
Shout out Jory.
So clearly he's still around. And so you end up coordinating the whole, I guess album recording process for his band at the time.
Yeah.
And like, did you know anything about that? Like, how did you do that?
I kind of like figured it out as I went, I guess. I saw them perform at the Masquerade and they just like blew me away. And then I found
old
out.
Masquerade.
Shout out the old Masquerade.
We had a whole bit on the old versus the new Masquerade.
Zero shout outs to the new Masquerade. Don't care. Fuck you.
You're such a hater, man. But yeah, so
yeah, I'm gonna go hang out in underground Atlanta.
I'm going to pretend I have no opinion on this.
Yeah,
You do.
please, because if you want to get booked by them, you should probably be quiet.
You're right, exactly.
No, so you see his band play, and then you just
And then I told them that I really loved their music and I wanted to work with them. So yeah, I got them in the studio and we just knocked it out in a weekend. And I had never really like done the producer role before, but I realized that like once we were in the studio, it was kind of intuitive, just like, okay, I think we should layer these guitars here. I want to go back and redo this. Like this needs to be a fuller sound. And obviously like getting their input too was super helpful. But going into it, I listened to a ton of punk rock because I hadn't really ever gotten into punk before. And it wasn't on the curriculum. So I like dove into punk rock and was listening to a ton of bands, trying to get ideas, trying to get a feel for like what they were going for. And, it was a really fun weekend, and we knocked out 4 songs. Yeah, it was 4 songs. So it was super fun. Yeah.
I mean, you end up starting a label from that experience, right? You're like, damn, this band's good. I should probably start a label and put out their next project. Like, is that how it happened?
Yeah.
Was it that? Like, I heard the story. I was like, was it that simple? Of like, they're like, yeah, she was really good at, telling us she had a class project and we got, free studio time, assumingly, or like cheap studio time. She did a pretty good job. We should probably like trust her to, put out. Like, so you start a label. And was their project your first one? You didn't even put your first project out on there, or?
I mean, no, because my project had come out before I made the label.
And then you're just like, my first release as a label is going to be this other band.
I'm an exec now. I'm a fat cat exec.
Seriously.
Fuck the artist game.
Well, I really loved working with them, and they were starting to do music for me a little bit. And when I asked Nick, I was like, hey, what's next for you guys? What are you going to do? He was like, well, we've hit up a couple labels. Nobody's responded to us. So we're thinking maybe we're just like going to take a break and not do the music. And I'm like, you guys have this whole album done and it's so good. Like, I love your music. And I said, I mean, I've never done this before, but like, what if I like make a label? And I mean, so I did.
Someone's got to put this out. I'm going to do it.
Exactly.
Your girl right here, CEO of Kaizen Records.
Hey.
That's really dope.
Thanks.
What were some key takeaways from, putting out that project?
Some key takeaways were, first of all, like, I really think it's worth doing things yourself. And even if you don't know what you're doing, like figuring it out as you go. Because I think if I had known how much work it was going to take before I started, I might not have done it. But then once I got into it, it was kind of like one thing at a time. I'm like, okay, I've like registered as a business. Now what do I need to do? I need to find our distributor. Okay, now I need to like figure out publishing. Okay, I've got that done. Now we need to like schedule releases. We need to schedule a tour. So it was kind of just like, I took it like one chunk at a time, and I also just like did a ton of research, a bunch of artists that I really loved and admired. We talked about some of their favorite labels, and we also like studied how they released. So I'm really glad that I did it, because up till then I hadn't really gotten into the music business side very much, and I learned so much doing that now I am able to take my music from beginning to end completely DIY, and that's a great skill to have, like in this day and age, just because there's so many people who want your money, but maybe aren't going to give you quality results. Like I had this one label try to sign me, but they wanted $1 million buyout and they wanted rights to all my masters and everything. And I was like, I'm better off just doing this like on my own and maintaining all my rights, honestly.
Here's something that I've struggled with. Do you think that like getting into the business side and understanding the business side, which is sad to say, almost more important than the music. It's like the business. If you want to actually like make it a career, you need that. You need to understand it, or you at least need someone on your team that understands it, right? Do you think that like trying to get into the business side of it and understanding that has impacted the actual, musical and creative side of it? Because I get so deep into like trying to understand the business and doing all this, and it's like, but am I like taking away from the creative part and why I fell in love with this in the first place, the musical part. You know, where's like the balance for you there?
I think the balance for me is I have a tendency to burn myself out on things, right? So it's actually kind of good because what I'll do is I'll just be like, okay, for this like season of time, this week, this month, I'm only creating, right? And then once I feel like I've burnt myself out creating, then I'm like, okay, this next month I'm just focusing on marketing and I'm doing all the business end of things just because I can't possibly try to write more songs right now, you know?
So you separate them.
I usually, separate them out. So right now I'm more into like the business side of things because we knocked out a bunch of recordings this summer. And obviously like I'm still, you know, working on my music in my free time and creating, but I'm not hyper focused on it right now. I'm more focused on, I've created these songs. Now I'm going to like carry them out into the world.
I might need to try that. Like have a designated, and you do it by months?
So, and it also depends on the project. So like when we were doing the Light EP, it was like 2 months, but every weekend, that's all we were doing was just recording, producing, working on the songs. And honestly, that works best for me just because I like throw everything I have into it and then I'm tired and I can't even like listen to these songs anymore, right?
I mean, I hear a lot of similarities between us. Seriously, like that might be something I need to try. Because every day I wake up, I'm like, okay, business, marketing, but like also make music. And like, what do I do? And you know, it's hard. Maybe like having a week where I dedicate.
Yeah, I mean, the sad part is that content doesn't sleep, right? It doesn't. So, you know, we struggle with just like content creation and that's a never ending cycle. You can't take a month off. I mean, not in this day and age. It's tough. I mean, maybe if you're batch creating,
you could batch create.
I love a good batch create.
This is the batch create king.
But like, you know, you can't leave your fans hanging for a month at a time or 2 months at a time. They're going to go somewhere else. You know,
for sure.
So you could make content for a whole week for the rest of the month and then you could just make music.
Exactly. That's what I do.
So you were a music student. The student became the teacher. So you end up, you know, teaching, I guess, you know, vocal lessons, even some like piano and maybe guitar, like general music, you know, lessons. Like what was your teaching or what's your teaching style? Like how would you like, I'm thinking like School of Rock, Jack Black.
Yeah,
like, is
no,
that you?
actually that was totally
so
my
incredible.
The Trap Jack Black.
The Trap Jack Black. And so, you know, in line with the teaching, something that, you know, both people that I got to speak with in preparation for this episode talked about this like sense of community that you have fallen in love with, that you like to build and kind of establish with, you know, the music community that you're a part of. What do you think people meant by that? Like, why did they say that? Like, what are some examples or what does that really mean?
You know, it's kind of interesting, I guess, that other people have picked up on it, but it is like one of my, I guess, personal core values. And I think the reason is because when I was growing up, I felt very much like an outsider and like a misfit. And now I know it's because like I had things like ADD and undiagnosed depression and like a lot of things happening. But also I felt that I was called to like a lot of creative things. And so where I was at, that kind of made me like a target at some points. Like I was bullied in middle school. I mean, it wasn't anything like too bad, but I just never really felt like I fit in. So I think around that stage of my life is when I realized like I really want people to connect with. Like I want a community. And so then, you know, as I got older, I kind of realized like, you know, I'm gonna probably have to like build it. You know, a lot of times when we go out into the world, like we have this idea of what we want, but other people's visions are obviously different than ours and other people's values, right? So I guess, as Jory's mom would say, like, you have to create the community that you want to see. Like, you have to be the change you want to see in the world.
Okay. So on the One More Time podcast, when we feel like an artist has or a guest has dropped a gem, we ask that they just, for the people in the back that didn't quite hear you.
For Jory, who's sleeping on the couch.
Repeat that one more time.
Can you give it to him one more time?
Loud and clear.
That was big.
Yes, okay. You have to create the community that you want to see in the world, and you have to be the change that you want to see in the world.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's
big.
It's powerful.
Yes.
So what are some examples of, you know, that community that you've tried to build or like things that you've maybe done?
Yeah, what have you done to like attract that kind of community?
For example, when I started teaching music, I put a lot of emphasis on to really making sure that all of my students feel like, number one, they should feel cared for, and they should also feel like they have freedom of expression. So the way I teach is more like guiding. Like I will ask them questions and I'll guide them in a direction, but I don't ever want to be someone who's like judgmental or shames my students or embarrass them or is like, you have to do it my way or you have to do it this way. So, when I work with someone and I teach them, I really tailor what I'm doing to them and their progress and their passion and their goals. And I still do that, like to this day, with all of my voice students that I have right now. So another way that I approached that in the past was like when I was teaching at schools, rather than like going online and downloading some curriculum that's like, okay, print out these sheets and the kids are going to sit for 30 minutes and do these sheets and turn them in. Instead, I was like, hey guys, what songs do you like? What bands do you like? And then we'd sit down and we'd pick out some of their favorite songs and bands. And then I'd say, okay, what instrument are you interested in playing? And then we would get instruments donated or borrow them, or even like students would rent some or buy their own sometimes. And we just started our own band of them playing songs that they loved. So
this is literally School of Rock.
Yeah, pretty much.
She sounds like very much like a producer. Like these answers are very like producer oriented. Like
I do love producing.
Picking, like understanding what someone wants and, and providing whatever it is that it takes to get them to that level. These are very much like producer things that I try to tap into.
Yeah, so I mean, are you a producer by trade? Like, do you produce music for other artists or for yourself? Like, are you a producer? Do you identify that way?
I do identify. It's not like, I wouldn't say like, I don't know, that production is like my main focus, but part of my teaching is I come at it like a vocal coach. So if you think about like, Jan Smith Studios in Atlanta, for example.
Shout out Jan.
Mama Jan.
We know Mama Jan.
Mama Jan.
We'd love to have you on the podcast. Mama Jan, for real.
Yo.
Do it, Mama Jan.
Do it, Mama.
Jen, seriously.
So that kind of approach of like, she is in there while the artists are recording and she's coaching them and producing the vocals.
She's a vocal
the whole
producer.
Time. Exactly. She's a vocal producer. Yeah. So I would say yes.
Legendary one.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I found myself doing. I always, said, I'm a recording engineer and you can come to my studio and I'll record you.
Right.
But it's like, I'm really working with these artists.
Yeah.
If they like have a line where I'm like, well, that word isn't really necessary. If you took that word out, it might flow better. Or if you hit this note instead of that one, it might
exactly. So
work
you're
with the
producing
record.
them.
That's
in
producing
real time. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
But I have also done mixing for other artists, production for other artists. And that's why I love music, is it's so multifaceted.
Yeah, you have to like be able to focus your energies, especially when you're the type of person that wears so many hats.
Yes.
You have to be able to like, okay, I'm doing this hat now.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
That's very important to me as a creative.
So let's talk about the artist hat. We have Anji Kaizen.
Hey.
Anji Kaizen.
Where in the hell does Anji Kaizen come from?
Yeah.
That's not your government.
What is the origin story of the name? What does it mean?
Okay, origin story of Anji Kaizen is basically I didn't want to be Angela Hutchins anymore. There's several others
your real
on
name.
the internet. Yeah, that's my real name.
Shout out
and that was
Angela
your
Hutchins.
And that was your former artist name, though?
That was my former artist name.
Okay.
And I think people just kind of pigeonholed me as like girl holding a guitar, and I just didn't really feel like it represented my.
That sounds like
creative
Angela
self.
Hutchins.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, she sounds like an acoustic blonde-haired girl
Yes,
for sure.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was.
Are you naturally blonde?
I am.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yep.
I was like, Angela Hutchins for sure. But okay,
Yes.
so Anji Kaizen.
So once I started producing my own music, and I was like, I want this to be so much more. Like, I want full productions. I want it very theatric. I want to like give a name to my creative self. So people like do a double take. They're like, oh wait, maybe I don't know what's going on. Like, what even is this? So Ani is a shortening of my name, but it's also a Sanskrit term, and it means a gift given with both hands. And so the reason I picked that is I think a lot of times in the music industry, like it's really easy to get caught up in the business side and the money side, and people just start to hustle and they kind of forget why they're doing it in the first place. And
Whoa.
Big gem.
Whoa.
Ani's dropping gems.
Let's run that one back one more time.
yeah, so in the industry, it can be so easy to get lost in the hustle, the grind, trying to make money. And like we forget why we started making music, you know, is like to connect
it was
with
so
other people.
fun.
And
Yeah.
it's
It
fun
all
and
started messing around with our
inspired.
friends and jamming and dancing.
Yeah.
Yes. So Ani is the gift given with both hands, and that's what I want my music to be. I want to always remember that I'm giving something to other people in the hopes of a genuine connection, and that they will feel like I've given them something, you know? So that's where Ani came from. And then Kaizen actually started as Kaizen Records, and that was the name I picked for my record company because
So it was the
So
label.
you picked that before
it was
Yes.
your name.
Kaizen?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Oh
Yes.
shit! I didn't get that in my research.
No, you're getting
Yeah,
there's a lot.
great.
That's why we have the podcast.
Yeah,
So Kaizen Records, I picked Kaizen because it means good change, but it's more than that too. It also means like constant
in what language
improvement.
again, or like what?
In Japanese, yeah.
Definitely
So
Asian, yeah.
So it's actually
wow.
like a Japanese business term and philosophy. If you run a Kaizen-based business, it means you put people before profit. So that's
Wow.
what I wanted to do approaching the music industry. I was like, I want it to be about the artists. I want it to be about the people. I want to invest in my artists and see them grow. And it's not so much about how much can I squeeze out of this artist, or, you know, it's more about I'm mindfully creating this community and I want to invest in them and I want to see them get better and improve. And same with the label, you know, that applies to the label too. We're constantly changing, like in good, positive change.
Sure.
Wow, I love your name so much more now. That's amazing.
It's incredible. Yeah. So, what would you say the vision behind the sound is? Right. So you didn't want to be the, you know, girl with the guitar,
Right.
maybe more acoustic, kind of, you know, that whole sound. What's the vision behind Ani Kaizen? You know, this project of yours.
Yes. So with Ani Kaizen, I want this to be, I'm basically creating entire soundscapes. So I really love artists like Bjork, right? So every project she does, it's a whole world that she's building. It's not just like, oh, I wrote this song. She is very mindful about like what she wears, all of her art. She does all these accompanying like visuals and videos.
That's the
and
synesthesia coming in.
Exactly. So I was like, I really want to tie into the synesthesia. I want this to be a full production. I want it to be a whole experience for people. So that's kind of the vision with Ani Kaizen. And obviously, you know, I'm still growing. I technically only have been Ani Kaizen for a year, even though I've been releasing music as Ani. So just this past year, I did the full rebrand. I started working for myself full time. And so
beautiful.
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So the goal is to get to the point where I am touring and recording and making music full time. And, you know, that's kind of the vision right now.
That's awesome. So the most recent release was Center,
Yes.
I believe, right? You did preview some unreleased shit that was incredible. So this episode may or may not be out before that. So anyways, stay tuned. But so Center was your latest release. You know, what was the inspiration behind that record? What's that one all about?
Center, the song itself is really about overcoming toxic relationships. So it's from the Light EP, and I challenged myself for the Light EP to write fun, upbeat, happy songs.
Because you had a dark EP as
Because I
well.
had the dark EP, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't want to be a total downer.
Look at Henry doing his research.
Yes.
A little bit.
I thought he just heard of you when you walked in the door, but like
A little before that.
There you go.
He knows, man. So yeah,
Apparently.
we've got the dark EP. So I did the light EP. So with Center, I wanted like a really fun, like kind of kick ass, like I'm over you kind of song.
Okay.
Love it.
So the
Jory,
idea,
not to be taken literally.
Yeah.
fortunately,
Shout out
not
Jory
about
one more time.
Jory.
This is art. This is creativity, man.
Exactly. So I had actually like dated a total narcissistic ex, and like that song was kind of like, you're not the center anymore. Like I'm literally moving on from this.
Oh wow.
Shifting
Yeah.
your center.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about you anymore. I don't want to think about you anymore.
That's
And
awesome.
you don't get any
Let's-
more songs written about you after this one.
Exactly.
Let's play a quick snippet from Center.
Let's definitely do that.
I don't want to talk about you anymore. All the ways you cut me straight to the core. And I don't want to think about you anymore. All the things that I regret from who I was before. When you were at the center, you were at the center, you were at the center. Not anymore, not anymore.
Nice.
So that was a snippet from Center, your most recent release. There's also a remix out.
Yeah.
That was an EDM kind of dubsteppy dance remix. How did that happen?
Honestly, totally out of the blue. So I'm on Twitter, and sometimes I'll like post my songs for people making playlists because there's a bunch of playlisters on Twitter. So I just shared
Big
it.
key.
Gem.
Yes,
Big
yes, super
gem.
important. If you're not on Twitter, get on Twitter.
Bruh.
So
No, that's
I
a
was
key
just
for me.
sharing
I'm like,
it.
yeah.
Get on Twitter.
I mean, I'm on it, but I didn't realize that it was a
Playlist or haven.
like a playlist
Yes.
community.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So that's awesome.
Constantly. So I posted the song, and this French EDM producer just out of nowhere was like, "Hey, I really love this. Can you please send me the stems?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. I mean, why not?"
They're on the way.
Yeah, exactly. And within
route.
48 hours,
No way.
they had a completed remix sent to me, and it's so good. I was
Yeah.
like, "What? Random
Wow.
person on the internet?"
Yeah.
But, like,
It's amazing.
yeah, so shout out to Mouse's Mistake who found me on Twitter.
That's a
and
cool
then
name.
loved-
Shout out to Mouse's
Yes,
Mistake.
Mouse's Mistake. What a dope name.
Yeah.
Almost as cool as
the-
Anji Kaizen.
Is the Mouse's mistake that he went to get the cheese out of the trap? Is that the mistake?
Ooh.
Or am I looking too deep into
I
this?
think you're thinking way too hard about this. But I don't know.
gonna
Let's ask
ask him
him.
now.
Let's
Yeah.
ask him because you.
Mouse's Mistake. We'd love to have you on the podcast, my friend. Just so we could ask you this one question, to be
Yeah,
honest.
it'll be a short episode.
So you mentioned Bjork, right? As,
Shout
as
out
kinda-
Iceland.
Yes.
as kind of one of the success models. I know that artists typically don't like this question, but who are some of the other, I guess, influences for the sound? So like not necessarily people that you just, listen to and like listening
Right.
to, but people that have actually influenced what the sound is going to be like for Anji Kaizen. Basically, who would you love being next to on a playlist, right? Like
Spotify, like artists
Yeah.
similar to.
Yes.
so,
Yes.
center comes right after who? Like who's kind of some of those success models for you?
So I love Lights. She's from Canada. She's freaking amazing. I don't know if I can curse or not on here.
Fucking amazing.
There's no fucking cursing on the fucking One More Time fucking goddamn podcast.
My mom does fucking watch these fucking episodes though, so
Well, fuck. Okay.
yeah.
Yes, but she's
Everyone asks that. We should probably just preface it with you can cuss.
curse.
No, it's way funnier for them to ask.
all right. Well, now I know. But yeah, she's fucking brilliant. So she she does all her own art. She does all of her own mixing, recording, production, everything, start to finish, and she's so talented.
So who else is kind of some of those top?
So another
success
one
models?
would be I love Paramore. Obviously, I've got the colored hair. Right.
Shout out Haley.
Haley. We already told you on Leah Culver's episode,
But we'd still love to have you on the podcast.
You haven't hit me back yet. So.
Haley, check your DMs.
Do it, Haley. Love you too.
Yeah. That's
So
awesome.
obviously a massive influence is Paramore. I remember my cousin got me the Riot album when I was like 12 or 13 and it just like changed my life. I was also really into a lot of pop punk as a
So like Avril.
Don't say Avril.
I mean a few yeah.
Finally,
Avril.
one of our celebrity lookalike roasts.
I got it.
Comes full circle.
I got my roast. Was on point.
But yeah, so just like to throw a few names out there, like people I'm recently listening to, like Tosh Sultana, Tame Impala, Alt J. I love all of them.
Oh, I love All
Gotten-
J. It's probably one of the best
Yes.
concerts I've ever been. I've seen them a couple times and
Oh
like
my god,
nice.
so jealous.
so good. Oh, have you never seen them?
I haven't.
Oh man,
Jory and I, like, we've had tickets to a few.
I saw them at the
activities.
Roxy most recently. Most recently 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Before COVID,
Oh my
obviously.
God.
BC.
Yes.
Before the panoramic.
COVID. Yeah, but before
Yeah.
the Pandora. And I was one of those guys that like just my friend was super into them.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey man, you want to go to this concert?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Who is it?" Alt J. I was like, "Who the fuck's that?" Like I didn't know who it was.
Yeah.
Then immediately became a fanboy. Like that's what I love about live shows.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And their ability to like seriously transform you into a super fan overnight. Like
Yeah.
just I'm now one of the biggest Alt J fans. Like I love Alt J.
It takes a
Yeah.
lot more time to create a super fan just on social media or just by streaming than it does, I think, at a live
Oh,
show.
yeah. If
'Cause
you
it's-
can-
Yeah.
it's more of a spiritual experience to be at a show
100%.
and be moved in the moment and you're standing there and you're actually there. It's
Yeah.
like you can really get
Yeah.
deep,
That human
fast.
connection. Yeah.
and
the
seeing
connection.
other people, seeing how much it impacts the other people in
and
the
how
crowd.
passionate they are.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I was like, damn, these guys know every breath. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So what's next for you? You kind of previewed some stuff for Henry and I. So
Yeah.
is another single on the way?
Yeah,
that's what's next for you?
Yeah, you guys just heard Monster, so that's the next one that's dropping just in time for Halloween. And after that, we're going to release another single. So going forward, we're going to get more into rock and pop punk just because those are honestly super nostalgic for me, and I love writing that style of music.
Yeah.
And after that, probably going to do a full EP, but we're going to kind of test the waters with like a couple singles first, and then going to do a Kickstarter for that EP. And
so get your checkbooks ready, folks.
Yeah, because there's going to be some really cool shit on the Kickstarter. Just saying, I've already started designing it and like brainstorming.
Yeah, we might need to pick her brain on that whole Kickstarter world because that's something we've never even talked about.
And it's not just like give me money. It's like you can give people incentives,
unique experiences
and rewards.
Yeah, because you've done it before already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So might need to.
We'll talk.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, Kickstarters are the bomb.
That's awesome. One thing I want to make sure that I get to say is that I loved the EDM collaboration.
Yeah.
I think you should totally lean into that world. I think that your vocals are very, they pair really well with EDM tracks. And I think like if that's something that you had fun, having made just willy-nilly, right? Some guy hit you up and like, I think like making it a like conscious effort to dive into that. Like
if the center remix happened with no effort whatsoever, just imagine what could happen if you tried.
Yeah, I mean, I love the EDM scene just because, like, I do love music festivals. So I've already dropped 3 songs with a DJ.
Okay, cool.
Scales, yeah. So
Shout out Scales.
Orbits, yeah. Butterfly Effect, Hideaway. We've done several songs together, and I've actually started working with a UK management company where I write top line vocals for their DJs and producers.
Yes.
So I am starting to get more into that because it is
10
super
steps
fun.
ahead of you, Ben.
That's great. Yeah. I just loved hearing that record. And I think that like your style of vocals just fits really well with that type
Makes
of
sense,
sound,
yeah.
right?
Oh,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
thank you. Yeah.
Well, Henry,
Uh-oh.
we've come to the final segment of the One More Time podcast.
Oh, shit.
It's everyone's favorite. It's going to be Ani's favorite. It's going to be Jory's favorite. I can guarantee it. Buckle up, Ani.
Okay.
This is the Rapid Fire Rampage, curated by Henry with a 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Rapid Fire Rampage is about to proceed. So what we got in store for you for this Rapid Fire Rampage, it's a 3-part rampage.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you some short answer questions.
Okay.
I'm going to do some this or that. I'm going to give you 2 choices. You're going to pick one. And then we're going to do a word association. I'm going to give you 1 word, and you're going to just spit 1 word back at me. The less you think, the better. This is
Wow.
This is
All right.
You can we should almost put a blindfold on our guests, like when they do this. You know what
Do you
I mean?
have a blindfold spare around here?
No, but it's just a thought. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, Rapid Fire Rampage. Episode 23. Anji Kaizen. Starting with the
go.
short answers. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
That was the short answer. That was the first.
That was the first
answer.
question. No. Okay. We're going to start off easy here. Give us 2 of your top 5 artists or bands of all time.
Paramore and Paris.
Give us 2 of your top 5 animes of all time.
Your Lie in April and Puella Magica Magica.
It's a mouthful, that last one.
What was the last one?
Puella Magica Magica. It's
You know
like
what it
magical
means?
girls.
Magical Girls? Okay. How many golf balls could fit in a bouncy house?
At so many golf balls, a bouncy house full of golf balls. I really don't know.
So many. No, that's
So
a good answer.
many.
That works.
So many. You heard
work.
it here first.
That'll work. That'll work.
So many. It's not very accurate, but we'll take
Damn
it.
We're not looking for accuracy here. It's January 2012.
Oh.
You've just been hired as the CEO of Blockbuster. How do you save the company?
I buy out Netflix.
Genius.
Gosh, she's such a businesswoman.
If you were an app, what would you be?
I would be like a really fun like fairy world app where you can like go around and like take pictures of the outside world and like shows up in real time in the app. Kind of like Pokemon Go, but like more real world centric.
She's thought about
That was
Yeah, I have.
amazing.
Yeah.
She's given this some thought.
That
My
was
brother and I are designing it.
Are you
Whoa.
serious?
Yeah.
Holy
Oh,
shit.
there you go.
That's not fair.
Jesus.
She's an app developer.
Wow.
She'd be her own app that she's building.
She's crushing this Rampage so far.
We really meant like an existing one, but that was way better.
Let me get to the hard questions. Apparently, these are too easy. Okay.
Yeah. Softballs.
In 20 seconds or less, teach me something I don't know.
Do you know how to lick your nose?
I don't.
Okay, so you like stick your tongue out super far.
Okay.
Like that.
Okay.
Like point it though. Like just try to go as far out as you can.
This is incredible,
No.
folks.
And then you're just gonna like
Flip it
slowly lift it up. Yep, but you have to like really try to push it forward as you lift it, or it's not gonna work.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I can't do it, but I've learned the techniques.
Yes, now you know. Just
So
practice
that counts. Yeah, practice.
This is so great.
Okay.
For all of you at home, try this carefully because it's very dangerous. God.
You probably won't get it your first try. It took me a week or two.
So you can't learn it in 20 seconds, but she tried.
I taught him how to do it.
Not successful.
He said, "Teach me something."
I learned the techniques. Moving on, we're rampaging here. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
here we go.
Rapido Fuego Rampage.
That's right. Whatever you said. Yeah.
Let's go.
What are 3 things that we would find in your fridge right now?
Some silk soy yogurt, mango flavored. That's the best. Some body armor and some cheese sticks.
Wait, body armor?
Yeah, you know,
Like
like
Kevlar?
the drinks. No, like they're like the drinks.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I knew exactly what she meant,
Yeah.
and then you had no idea. That was
No,
so
I've heard
good.
it. I know about it. I just my
You know,
mind
it's like
was not in it.
Gatorade, but different.
Yeah.
Okay. Describe the color yellow to a blind man.
It is sunshine and warmth, and it's very soft at the same time. So if you were to touch it, it's like velvety smooth and warm. Yeah.
So good.
That's that synesthesia
Yeah.
coming in.
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
a perfect question for her.
It's like, damn.
Wow. Okay. If you were one part of this bicycle, what would you be?
The water bottle holder, because like I'm need to
'Cause of
stay
it?
hydrated.
Because of this
God.
right here.
It's incredible.
I don't think this will fit. Let's see.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Oh no.
Okay, we'll get that later.
Rip.
Sorry. Yeah, rip water bottle. Okay.
This is terrible.
Sorry. Moving on.
It's a very interactive rampage.
Yeah.
We're licking noses and dropping water bottles
Listen,
everywhere.
we're rampaging.
God.
And she's
I can't
almost
lean
falling
back
in
in
her
that.
chair.
Can you guys focus, please, on the rampage? Thank
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
Jesus
Sorry,
Christ. All right.
sorry, sir.
We're here.
Yep.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how weird do you think you are?
Oh, like definitely a 10.
Love it.
Yeah.
How do you like your eggs?
Slightly runny over easy.
What a first part of the rampage.
You're doing great.
Part one.
Minus the water bottle that Henry threw on the floor.
No, that was great
and
too.
Unsuccessfully teaching him something in 20 seconds. You're doing really well.
Successfully taught.
No, I was taught. I can't execute, but
okay.
I was taught. In my eyes, 10 for 10 on the first
I
part
guess
of
we
the
have different
rampage.
definitions of teaching, but that's
You
neither
can teach
here
someone
nor there.
something, but you can teach a,
Yep.
a horse how to drink water, but you can't make them drink.
Exactly.
So
Wow.
It's a weird way to prove me wrong, but we'll take it.
part 2 of the rampage, it's going to be the this or that.
Okay,
I'm going to
sweet,
give you
sweet.
2 options. Just pick the one that you feel gravitated toward the most without thinking about it. Here we go. Part 2 rampage, episode 23 of the One More Time Music Podcast. Anji Kaizen. Lyrics or melody?
Melody.
Farm or city?
City.
Yoga pants or jeans?
Yoga pants. 100% of the time.
SpongeBob or
It's
Patrick?
Oh, Patrick, for sure. Yeah.
Theme park or water park?
Water park.
Good choice.
Splish splash.
That's right. Christmas or Halloween?
Halloween. No brainer.
Pineapple pizza or candy corn?
Pineapple pizza.
You might have answered this one in the podcast, but I still want to just make sure. Guitar or singing?
Singing.
Tacos or sushi?
Oh, sushi. Yeah.
Art museum or history museum?
Art museum.
Phone notes, pen and paper, or mental?
Pen and paper.
Old school. I like it. Cash or credit?
Credit.
Tattoos or piercings?
Piercings.
Do you have any tattoos?
Nope. Mm-mm.
There you go.
It's too much of a long-term commitment.
I hear you. I hear you. You can take out a piercing. Robots or dinosaurs?
Ooh, robots.
Part 2 of the Rampage.
Part 2. That was a little
Breezing
less
right
chaotic than the first part.
Yeah.
Breezing right along. We've come to the final part of the rapid fire Rampage. It's the word association.
Ooh.
I'm going to give you one word.
Okay.
Just give me the first word. It could be like 2 words. Just the first thought.
First
the
thought, okay.
short,
Gotcha. Yeah.
thought off the top of your head, whatever pops into your brain when I say this word. We want to hear it.
Cool.
Here we go. Jupiter.
Saturn.
Poodle.
Dog.
That's true. Stress.
Headache.
Tulip.
Blossoming.
Studio.
Ghibli.
What is that?
What?
Is that a studio name?
Ghibli. You know, like the Miyazaki films, like Kiki's Delivery Service, Spirited Away.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of
Spirited
course.
Away, yeah.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
Is that the studio that put those movies out?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Now you taught me something.
Yeah, why don't you lead with that instead of the fucking tongue on the nose thing?
You enjoyed that.
Little
In
bit.
like some weird way, kind
Yeah.
of. It was more just like, I'm so glad I have the footage of
Yes.
Henry trying to do that for my rest of my life. Yeah.
It's going to
You're
zoom in
welcome.
on me
You're
on
welcome.
the content
Oh,
clips.
it's definitely going to be its own post of
Jesus
just
Christ.
Henry trying to lick his nose. I mean, I'm so happy that you did. Yo, your check is in the mail for that one.
We're moving on. We're moving on. We're moving on. Rapid fire Rampage. Here we go. Ice cream.
Cupcakes.
Okay.
Someone should do that.
Ice cream cupcakes?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's ice cream cake, but
Yeah.
okay. No, I'm with
Yo,
you.
hit up Brewster's about that.
No, I have a tie to Brewster's.
His dad owns Brewster's.
Seriously? Yeah.
Not the whole thing, but like
My dad's
a couple
name
of
is Bruce.
Brewsters.
Moving on. Cryptocurrency.
Overhyped.
Oh, she's not buying the dip.
No, you can miss out on these gains.
I mean, I have some, but
Okay. Moving on. Rampage. We're trying to rampage here, people.
right.
Leather.
Pleather. It's vegan.
Are you vegan?
I mean, I have been. I probably will be again.
You said sushi.
I do love the sushi. Okay. More like a passive
The
pescatarian.
I hate when people
The sushi.
abbreviate things that are super short already.
No, but that's a good one.
You go from sushi to sush.
I like that one.
Fucking
The sushi. Thank you.
Okay, so it's actually just as many syllables. So you didn't even abbreviate it.
No, but it sounds way cooler, Ben. You wouldn't understand
Henry gets it.
cool
Yeah.
things. He doesn't get cool things. So we're not rampaging. Can we keep this on track?
Sorry.
Children.
Listen.
Listen to the children.
I thought for a second you were calling us children for not like keeping up with the rampage. You were like, time for rampage.
now I am.
Children.
A part of me thought that same thing, but then he didn't say anything after, so I was like,
oh,
I think she needs
we're
to
back
answer
in
this
it.
one.
Yep.
Yep.
Accordion.
Harmonium.
Party.
Hard.
Chandelier.
I'm going to swing.
Rainbow.
Sheep.
Government.
Overthrow. Yeah.
A little anarchist on our
Time for the
hands.
revolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Center.
You are not the center.
What a rampage.
What a rampage. What an episode. Anji Kaizen, we appreciate you coming on the show.
One more time.
Definitely the first alt pop princess that we've had on the podcast.
Indeed.
And honestly, it was really great learning your story, kind of that teacher mentality that you've had. You've built this sense of community around you over the years, and I think that you really, like you said, you're only a year into the new artist brand barely.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited to see what comes of this. You already have another record on the way and plenty more in the bag. We appreciate you coming on. And until next week, folks, Henry, what are we doing?
We getting out of here, fam.
Peace out.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Pop that shit like one more time. They pop that one more time. Pop that shit like one more time. They pop that one more time. Oh. Hop up in that foreign skirt, no. All the homie, this shit trippin', no. Middle finger to the law.